Why is it Kadosh Baruch Hu so critical of a woman that's immodest? Because, Rabotai, this is one of the fundamentals of creation itself. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Am Yisrael, Kedoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani, you be holy because I am holy, he says to them that your holiness is your modesty. But that holiness didn't begin with you, but rather it began at the time of creation. When? Literally creation. The Midrash Rabbah, in Parasha Yudchet, Chelek Bet, 18:2. After you read this Midrash, you'll see how foolish people are when they say, no, I only read the written Torah. I don't go with those midrashim. It's all fables and fairy tales. You know what that means? Anytime somebody tells you a midrash is a fairy tale or it's a nonsense, you know what that means? They never read it. That's what it means. Because the amount of wisdom that you see in the midrashim, you simply will never arrive at an inkling of Yirat Shamayim without it. But let's see. Rabbi Yehoshua of Sichnin said in the name of Rabbi Levi, from the word Vayiven, we learn certain things. What do we learn? This is to teach that HaKadosh Baruch Hu contemplated from where in Adam's body to create a woman. Meaning, we all know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam HaRishon first, and then he took his rib bone and made Chava. But it wasn't like, oh, you know what? That rib bone looks tasty. Let me make a person out of it. What the Midrash is trying to tell us is the thought process, the divine thought process that went into why the rib bone and not the toe? Why the rib bone and not the nose? Why the rib bone and not the, one of the fingers? You got 10, maybe take one off. Let's say you got 9, you don't need all 10. Why the rib bone and not maybe, somewhere else? Why this one? He said, I will not create her from the head, so that she will not bear her head proudly, and not from the eye, so that she should not be overly inquisitive. We'll elaborate on these points in a moment. And not from the ear, so that she should not be an eavesdropper, big brother. And not from the mouth, so that she's not too talkative. And not from the heart, so that she should not be an envious person. And not from the hand, so that she should not be one who touches that which is not hers. And not from the foot, so that she should not be one who steps out. Rather, I will create her from a place on the man that is private, that even when the man stands naked, that place is private, in order to instill in her traits of modesty. Meaning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose a section of the body that even if a man were to stand naked, it's still covered. And there's really only one part of the body, and that's the ribs. Why? Because your arms are covering it at all times. I mean, even if you walk, you don't walk around with your hands up all the time. Generally, naturally, person covers their ribs. That's modesty. Why? The source had to be modest. Why? To instill modesty in her. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, but we also know that when Hashem first created Adam and Chava, they're walking around naked. So where's the modesty? From here we learn modesty is not only your clothes. Modesty is the behavior of the person. Surely the clothes have to fit the behavior, and the behavior have to fit the clothes. But the point being is that from here we learn that yes, Hashem created them to be naked. Only because they sinned are they now, and we are supposed to wear clothes. But modesty was still expressed respected from the moment of creation despite being naked, because modesty in its real source of it is the behavior of a person. So then he continues, and with each and every limb that God created in the woman, he would say to her, be modest, be modest. He put the little finger in there, be modest. He put another finger, be modest. Put another finger, be modest. Another finger, be modest. The jaw, be modest. The toes, be modest. And so on and so forth. Every little inkling of the woman's body, every bone, every, anything that he has in our body, he talked to us, said, be modest. That's your whole job in the world. And yet, nevertheless, God said, and you rejected all my counsels, as it says in Proverbs 125. V'tifreu kol ha'etzati. Despite all my advice, I told every single finger to be modest, every toe to be modest, every leg to be modest, every head to be modest, you still didn't listen to my counsel, he says. You still didn't listen to my counsel. I did not create the woman from the head, yet at times she bears a head proudly, as it's stated in Isaiah 3:16, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, walking with outstretched necks. She walks around conceited. Why? She just finished her diet. She lost 50 pounds, so she wants the whole world to know. Look at me, look at me. She doesn't like that. You lost weight, you gained weight. Who cares? Your husband, Baruch Hashem. You, Baruch Hashem. Everybody else shouldn't even know. Shouldn't even know. Why? It's not their business. If you want your body to be everybody else's business, it's the opposite of the point of your creation. The second you tell the world that your body is public property, you are now literally working against the instructions of the manufacturer. Because he told you the whole point of why I didn't take a piece of Adam HaRishon's head and make the woman out of this is so she's not proud. She's not arrogant. But you, talking about your body, talking about your things and this and that, all types of surgeries, what are you doing? You're not listening to Hashem's counsel. And not from the eyes, yet at times she's overly inquisitive. As it's stated, and gazing eyes. What are you doing? Nothing. No, I see you're doing something. Yeah, I'm doing something at my house. Why do you care? You're my neighbor, not my wife. You're my neighbor. Why are you always looking at somebody else's stuff? Why? Oh, did you see, honey? Did you see what they did to their house? No, I didn't see. What happened? Oh, they just got an extension. Oh, why do you care? I don't know. I thought maybe we should get an extension. Do we need an extension? No, but they're getting an extension. It would be weird if they got an extension to their house and we don't have an extension to our house. Why are you looking? Why are you constantly looking at your friend, at your colleague, at your enemy? What business is it of yours? Hashem did not create you from Adam HaRishon's eyes specifically because He wanted that you don't look elsewhere. The only place to look at is your own four amot. Your own life. You want to focus your attention? Focus it on your husband. Focus it on your kids. That's it. You have extra time? Honor your parents. That's it. Finished. More extra time? Do chesed. Kindness. Go find some poor people. Feed them. Why are you wasting all this time looking at everybody else's life? Because once you do that, Lashon Hara is its brother. You start looking, you start talking. It's one comes with the other. It's a package deal. 2 for 1. Same price. When you do it, you're defeating your whole point of creation. And not from the ear, yet at times she's an eavesdropper. As it says in Genesis 18:10, now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent. Even Sarah Imenu, Kodesh Kodeshim, Malach Hashem. When Avraham Avinu was sitting with the angels, he thought there were just 3 different Arabs. He didn't know there were angels. And one of them says, "Where's Sarah, your wife?" So shows Sarah is modest. She's not hanging out with the guys. Unfortunately, like today's women, you see sometimes the women hanging out with the guys more than the guys hanging out with the guys. "Oh, hi, honey. Oh, look, Steve's at our house." "What do you mean Steve's at our house?" "No, he came over, so we were just talking until you came home." "Why is a guy at my house and I'm not here? Why are you hanging out with him anyway, even if I'm here?" "No, we're friends." "Hey, Rabbi, am I allowed to have guy friends?" "If you're a girl, no. If you're a guy, yeah." "Why not?" "Because it's inappropriate." You can have co-workers. Hello, hello, goodbye, goodbye. That's the extent of the relationship. You know, if you need to talk about certain things to do with work, no problem. But there's absolutely no purpose whatsoever, no useful purpose whatsoever for you to ask him, "What are you doing on the weekends?" Why? Platonic relationships are one of the biggest causes of divorce that there is in the world today. Who do people cheat on their spouses with? Their friends. You don't cheat on your spouse with some random stranger you met at Starbucks. You cheat with someone that is friendly. The accountant that became like a family friend. The lawyer that's like a brother. The next door neighbor that just is like a housemate. The cousin that spends a few months a year at your house. That's what cheating is. Cheating is from that. As soon as you stop distinguishing the difference between men and women, and you simply allow women and men to hang out with each other even if they're not married to each other, you're ruining all senses of shame, all senses of modesty. You're simply ruining the world. Why? Because in essence, you're telling people that Sarai Imenu was mistaken when she was in a different room while the men were having a conversation. Yeah, but she wants to talk too. Okay, so get a girlfriend, talk to her. There is no reason for you to talk to an opposite gender. Unless it's, again, like I said, for work purposes. Why? Because the mind of a man does not work like a woman. It doesn't. No matter what you do. It doesn't work. The woman could look at a guy, or at least that's the way it used to be, and she sees a personality. She sees a guy, he's like, oh, he looks funny. He looks smart. He looks honest. He looks like a genuine person. A guy looks at a woman, she looks delicious, like a steak. That's it. That's how guys think. It's a reality. It's a reality of the world. If you deny that, then you're simply naive. Platonic relationships are simply a weapon of the Satan to make you think that this is going to work. No, you're wrong. I've been friends with them for 10 years and nothing ever happened yet. Never an opportunity, perhaps. He was never interested yet. Maybe he wasn't this, maybe he wasn't that. But the point being is that, trust me when I tell you, at some point or another, if opportunity presents itself, he will, or you will. Because that's just the nature of the beast. So even Sarai Imenu was as modest as she was. She went into a different room, but yet, her nature, still an inclination, she still wanted to hear what's going on. And the midrash didn't say, we wouldn't be allowed to say it. Sarah's Kodesh Kodeshim. Says that the inclination still was like, listen, Chas v'shalom, would I be socializing with the guys? If I want to talk to women, I'll talk to women. There's no reason for me to be among a bunch of guys. For what? But I still want to know what's going on. I'm curious. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I didn't create you from the ear specifically so you don't do that. What do you care? If there's something important, your husband will tell you. Your husband will tell you. If there's something important, your wife's going to tell you. What do you need to do all this for? But that's the nature. The nature of a person. Even if the person's righteous, they still have a nature in them. Then it says, I didn't create them from the mouth, yet at times she's a talkative person. As it stated, Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moshe in Numbers 12:1. Even though Miriam was holier than holy, she was Kodesh Kodeshim. She was a prophet. Neviah Hashem, the only reason we had a river of water that tasted like whatever you wanted, whether you wanted milk or you wanted wine or you wanted orange juice, that river, that was like the man. The river of Miriam was like the man. Whatever tasted you wanted, that's what it was. On what? On her merit. That's how amazing Miriam was. Yet, the moment she had a little bit of time with her brother, she said, Aaron, what's going on with Moshe? Why did he leave his wife Tzipporah? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, those few words were already too much. Why are you talking about somebody else? I didn't create you from the mouth, so you don't talk extra. You don't talk extra. And he punished her for it. Every day we read about it in our tefillah, reminder of the act that Miriam did, because as righteous as she was, she made a mistake once in her life. Alvai, we only made one mistake once in our life. Only once. Once in our life she made a mistake, and Hashem reminds us of it every day, which is to her merit. But nonetheless, he says, I didn't create you from the mouth, so you don't talk too much. Do I really need to explain this one? Sometimes you have certain women, the husband comes home from work and she's still on the phone. She doesn't even say hello to the husband. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour after he's home, she comes, hey honey, how was work? I've been home for an hour. Yeah, I was on the phone with my cousin, I was on the phone with my mom, I was on the phone with somebody. In Judaism, your husband is the king. The wife is the queen. What does that mean? That means that as soon as he comes home, there is no phone. You hang up the phone, my husband's home, click. Not like, listen, no, my husband's home, bye, click, honey. That's the way it's supposed to be. What? He's a king. If the king shows up anywhere, what are you going to do? Listen, Your Highness, I'll talk to you in a minute, okay? I'm going to finish the call, I'll get to you in 15 minutes, okay? I'll get to you. Does he treat a king? And you say, well, he doesn't treat me like a queen. If you treat him like a king, maybe he would. Stopped working? Tabi. But why is she forgetting to treat her husband like a king? She's too involved in her own talking, in her own conversation with her girlfriend, with her mother, with her cousin, with her sister, with somebody else. She's so involved in somebody else's life, she forgets the responsibility of her own life. She forgets that the king just showed up, or maybe the little princess and the princesses, which is our kids. Kids show up at the house. She doesn't even notice. Why? She's busy with other stuff. Your kids are home. Your responsibility in the world is your husband and kids. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I did not create you from the mouth specifically to try to remind you not to waste so many words, because wasting so many words is going to lead to problems. Number one, it's going to lead to Lashon Hara, which in itself could cost you heaven. Number two, simply talking so much about other people's lives will make you live through them vicariously, to the extent where you'll forget about your own life. You're so busy talking about other people's life, you forget about your own life. And he said, I didn't create her from the heart, yet at times she's envious. As it says in Genesis 31, Rachel became envious of her sister. Why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say that envy, jealousy of other people, is such a terrible thing that anyone that's jealous will not be resurrected with the dead? They may still go to heaven, but they're not going to be resurrected with the dead. They lose the merit of being resurrected with the dead. One day after Mashiach comes, 40 years after Mashiach comes, there's going to be a resurrection of the dead. All of the righteous people that have lived in previous generations, Moshe Rabbeinu, Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, Yaakov, David, Shlomo, Rabbi Akiva, all the sages, all the tzaddikim, the ones you know about, the ones you don't know about, they come out, they live in this world for 1,000 years. If a person dies, a jealous person, they lose that right, even if they keep mitzvot. They may still go to heaven, but they lose the right to be in this resurrection of the dead. Why? Because jealousy is a form of heresy. Jealousy in itself is a form of heresy. Why? You're jealous of somebody else because they have something that you don't, which in essence says that you believe that you should have it. Now, who's the one that gives everyone what they have? Hashem. So in essence, what are you saying? When you're jealous of somebody else's wife, when you're jealous of somebody else's husband, when you're jealous of somebody else's car, you're jealous of somebody else's fortune, you're jealous of somebody else's fame, you're jealous of anybody else's anything except Torah knowledge. Torah knowledge you're allowed to be jealous of, and you should be. Other than that, you're not allowed to be jealous of anything. When you're jealous of all of those things, what are you in essence saying? You're saying, Hashem, I'm supposed to have it, i.e., you're making a mistake. Not you're making a mistake. Hashem is making a mistake is what you're saying. Because you're saying, I'm supposed to have it. You're jealous because you feel like you should have it. Which in essence you're saying to Hashem, Hashem, I think you're making a mistake. You're giving it to him and not to me. I'm more righteous than him. I'm smarter than him. I'm better looking than him. I'm this, I'm that. You're saying that Hashem made a mistake. And Hashem says, oh, you think I'm making a mistake? I'll show you it's not a mistake. You have to remove all jealousy from your heart. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says when you're jealous, in essence you're working the opposite of what the instructions are. I didn't create you from the heart, so you're not envious. But yet our nature is to be envious. I didn't create you from the hand. I didn't create her from the hand, yet at times she is one who touches that which is not hers. As it stated, Rachel stole the teraphim that belonged to her father. In Genesis 31:19. Rachel, who meant well, stole the idols that Lavan HaRasha had, even though she meant well, to take away his idols. She didn't want her father to worship idols, so she stole them. The Midrash says, yeah, but it's still stealing. Even though you meant well, it's still not yours. It's still not yours. There's a way to do things. That wasn't the best way. That wasn't the best way. Sometimes people will do certain things in the name of a Torah. And you say, listen, I know you mean well, but that's just not the way. That's not that Torah. There's a way to do things. I didn't create you from the hand because I didn't want you to touch things that are not yours, but yet we constantly do that. We constantly do that. Somebody goes and they touch things that don't belong to them. They touch things that don't belong to them. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's people. And not from the foot, yet at times she is the one who steps out, as it stated. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had born to Yaakov, went out to look over the daughters of the land. I didn't make Chava from the leg. So you don't go waltzing around the malls just to see what everybody's wearing, what's the fashion today. Go walking around. Why? I have nothing to do, so I'm just going to walk around. Why? What purpose is it going to do? If you have a purpose, you need to go buy something, go buy something. But just go waltzing around doing nothing, it's the opposite. Why? Kol hakvuda bat melech pnima. All of the honor of the daughter of the king is inside. Meaning, modesty is not just to keep certain things in your house, but even yourself in the house. Why? Because there's problems outside. Even if you are a righteous woman. Dinah was a righteous woman. Young girl. She said, listen, I just want to go walk around just to see what the other girls are doing. Hashem punished her severely. She got raped. Why? What do you care what they're doing? What difference is it to you what they're doing? The point being, Rabotai, is that when a person understands that Hashem went to the extent of choosing the rib bone in order to have modesty instilled into a woman, you see that it's not, he just chose that because of that first thing that I said, because the arm covers it. but rather because there's a reason why he didn't choose anything else also. When a woman understands the depth of modesty, and she understands that this is her crown of glory. That's your crown of glory. When you're a modest woman, that's your crown of glory. So much so that when a woman is immodest, the house itself gets cursed to the extent where the husband loses sustenance, the kids lose sustenance, and like I said, they even lose recognition that they're daughters and sons of kings. But even more so, when she is modest, it's the opposite. When a woman is modest, HaKadosh Baruch Hu blesses the husband's parnasah. So even though the husband is the one that went and made 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, the blessing is coming from the wife, not from him. Not because he's a hard worker. Meaning, if she wants a credit card with no limit to go buy whatever she wants, say, please take it. Why? The only reason why you have sustenance is because of our modesty. The only reason you have any sustenance, your blessing in your sustenance, is because of our modesty. That's the reason. Never be cheap with a modest woman. If she's not modest, be as cheap as possible, so at least she makes less sins. But that's the reality. That's the reality. So when a woman understands how to view modesty and see it as a crown of glory, then she says, you know what, maybe I should be. But to get a woman to that extent, you have to teach some things that are hard to hear. You have to teach some things that are atrocious to hear. But nonetheless, to get a person to desire to change their entire wardrobe from a Shem Yishmo, what people have today, to a kosher wardrobe, you have to rewire their brain, you have to rewire their hearts, and you have to, the only way to do that is by telling them some things that are a little hard to hear.
אני מברך את הרבנים, רגע. אני מברך את הרבנים, הרב ירון ראובן, הרב אפרים כחלון, ראשי ארגון בעזרת השם, שהלכו בפי עליון, שעלו מעלה, יהיה להם ברכה והצלחה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא בישועות ליבם לטובה ולברכה, שבכל אשר יפנו ישכילו ויצליחו, יזכרו לעשות כאלה וכאלה, הודיעו תורה לאדירה, אמן ואמן.
בעזרת השם רשת בכל הארץ. הוא היהודי הזה, הוא היה מיליונר, סגר את כל הביזנס, אמר אני משקיע פה בעולמה של תורה.
איפה הוא גר?
בפלורידה.
פלורידה, איפה זה פלורידה? באמריקה.
במיימי. כן, ליד. אנחנו שם עכשיו הולכים להקים קהילה ספרדית.
חזק אותו בשמי.
קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
תעבירו מה שבירכתי אותו.
כן, קהילה ספרדית גדולה.